Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. I'm Jim. Today we are doing the decade of 2000. Our title, 20 Ought Not, is a play on words. Ought is a word that is a slang of not, N-O-U-G-H-T. You'll see it in things like 30-06, hunting rifle. The ought stands for zero. So 20, ought, zero, not is the word for zero, is 2000. If you can follow that. I had to come up with something instead of the decade of the 2000s. I don't like that. Until about 2001, even then, people were still saying 2001. I imagine some of them are still saying 2005 right now, but I say 2005. In the 1900s, we didn't say 1995. We did not. I don't know anybody that would do that unless it was like in literature. In the year of our Lord, 1995 or something. So, we're 20 ought not right here, right now. And let's get started. I have 3 pages of notes. Usually I do a 15 to 20 minute podcast episode with 1 page of notes. So I hope I can get this all done, and I hope I can follow myself because I have red arrows pointing, writing on the sides, going up and down instead of across. I have one place where I have a big old arrow from the bottom of the page going to the very top of the page, the margin type thing. Had to insert stuff there. So I will try to follow this as good as I can. The decade of 2000 was actually amazing. I almost didn't do it. I've done these ever since 1946. Did 46 to 50, then decade of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So here I am. I'm going to try this. We'll start out with Kenya Airlines Flight 431 crashed off the Ivory Coast. 169 people were killed. That was January 30th, 2000. January 31st, Alaska Airlines Flight 261 crashes off the California coast into the ocean. All 88 people, crew and passengers, were killed. I put this on because there were a lot of airplane crashes in the year 2000. Higher than normal. February 13th, the final Peanuts comic hit the newspapers. It was a Sunday comic, and the night before it was released, Charles Schulz, the creator of Peanuts, and the person which Charlie Brown was patterned after, died. May 11th, India's population reached 1 billion people. October 31st, Soyuz TM-31 is launched carrying the first resident crew to the International Space Station. It's been crewed ever since. So there's been a crew up there ever since 2000. November 7th, U.S. presidential election. No winner declared for a while. Hanging chads. 12/28. Montgomery Ward closes after 128 years in business. The notable death of the year 2000, Dallas Cowboys legendary coach Tom Landry died. He was 76 years old. 2001, January 9th, Apple launches iTunes. February 18th, NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt dies on the last lap of the Daytona 500. May 18th, the movie Shrek hits theaters. July 2nd, first artificial heart is implanted into Robert Tools of the United States. September 11th, almost 3,000 people are killed in suicide attacks at the World Trade Center in New York. Do you remember this? I was driving to work. I had a talk radio station on, AM station, and somebody called the host and said, I just saw an airplane hit the World Trade Center. The way they were talking, it sounded like a small plane, like a single passenger type deal. By the time I got into work, the second airliner had crashed into the World Trade Center. Next thing you know, our world was turned upside down. October 5th, Barry Bonds of the San Francisco Giants hits his 71st and 72nd home run. I think those are cheap home runs. This is my opinion. If you're a Barry Bonds fan, more power to you. But Babe Ruth and Roger Maris, those home runs did not come easy. There was no steroids involved. Whatever. Maybe I'll get some emails over that one. October 23rd, Apple releases its first iPod. November 15th, 2001, Microsoft introduces the Xbox. December 3rd, Segway is invented. Remember those scooters? I don't even know how they stand up. You can ride on them. You see mall cops and people like that riding them. I guess you can rent them and ride around. They're kind of fascinating, really. Notable death of 2001. On February 7th, Dale Evans. She passed away. Roy Rogers' wife. Happy trails to you, Dale. 2002, January 1st, the Euro is introduced. Ay, 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 ay. June 11th, American Idol airs for the first time. June 29th, Dick Cheney is temporary president while George W. Bush has a colonoscopy. If you've ever had one of those, you know why old Cheney would have taken office for a few hours. They'll knock you out. You're in dreamland for a while. October 2nd, U.S. Congress passes the Iraq resolution authorizing the Iraqi war. Shock and awe. October 9th, the dot-com bubble broke and hit the bottom. The Dow Jones sinks below 7,200 as a result. December 9th, United Airlines files for bankruptcy. In 2002, notable deaths. On June 5th, Ted Williams died. I've heard that he has his body frozen just in case we ever figure out how to freeze you and bring you back. Old Ted is probably first in line. 2003. On February 1st, the Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrates over Texas in re-entry. It killed all 7 astronauts. October 7th. Arnold Schwarzenegger is voted the governor of California. 2003 notable death. On February 27th, at the age of 74, Mr. Rogers died. Fred Rogers. 2004, February 1st. During Super Bowl 38 halftime show, Janet Jackson has a wardrobe malfunction. February 4th, Mark Zuckerberg launches the Facebook. It's later rebranded Facebook, and we all know what that is. April 9th, the last Oldsmobile rolls off the assembly line. August 18th, 2004, broadband internet connection surpasses dial-up in the U.S. We just did a little thing about dial-up internet a couple shows ago with that terrible, awful sound you'd hear. And slower than molasses in the winter. August 19th, 2004, Google becomes a publicly traded company. December 2nd, Brian Williams replaces Tom Brokaw as the weeknight anchor of NBC Nightly News. 2004 notable death, Pat Tillman. He's a football player, and once 9/11 happened, he joined the military. He was a soldier in Afghanistan when he got killed. If you ever go to the Hoover Dam, make sure you walk across the Pat Tillman Bridge. You can really see the dam very, very well from there. It's a nice tribute to a patriotic American. 2005, February 14th, YouTube goes online. August 29th, Hurricane Katrina forms, killing at least 1,836 people. It's the costliest hurricane in United States history. It forced the New Orleans Saints to play all of their football games on the road that year. Right after Katrina, we had Hurricane Rita. 2006, March 16th. The Blu-ray disc format is released. Anybody still use Blu-ray? You know, I went from CD to Blu-ray, or DVD to Blu-ray, and I guess it's better. But I've gotten so lazy anymore, I just find whatever movie, because I have a bunch of movies. I do. Back in the day, you know, you'd buy a movie, go down to the Walmart and buy a movie once in a while. Now I just find it on a streaming channel, so I don't have to get up, get the movie, take it out of its sleeve, put it in the Blu-ray player, and then reverse your process when the movie's done. Don't have to do that anymore. September 4th, 2006. Steve Irwin is stung and killed by a stingray. Rest in peace, crocodile hunter. October 10th. Google buys YouTube for $1.65 billion. It's just a year and a half after it goes online. Man. November 19th. Nintendo Wii is released in America. We have a Wii. We still have it. When the grads come, they have all these fancy video games, you know, and stuff. But I go down there and I still catch them playing the Wii. They wouldn't want me to tell any of their friends, I'm sure. I like the one where you bowl. Kim and I go down and bowl sometimes in the winter. It's a lot easier than throwing a 12, 14-pound ball down a wooden alley. December 7th, 2006. Smoking is banned in all public places in Ohio. Notable death in 2006, Gerald Ford. He was 93. Died on December 26th. 2007, January 9th, Steve Jobs announces the release of the first iPhone. 2007. There's an app for that. Remember that commercial? September 24th. The Big Bang Theory debuts on CBS. Notable death in 2007, on December 16th, Dan Fogelberg. He was only 56 years old. The leader of the band is dead. 2008, August 20th, Danica Patrick becomes the first woman to win a top-level Indy-type car race. September 28th, 2008. The SpaceX Falcon becomes the first privately developed space launch to make orbit. Clear back in 2008. Did anybody know about that? November 11th. Taylor Swift, for all you Swifties, releases her second album, Fearless. At the time, and maybe it still is, my note says it still is, the most awarded country album of all time. Now that's when old Taylor played a banjo and did country music, and I really did enjoy her back then. I don't understand now, except that she dates a Kansas City chief, so I hear more about her than I ever would have. But I really liked her when she was a country gal. Notable death, Richard Widmark. He passed away March 24th, 2008 at the age of 93. The year 2009. March 9th, 2009, exactly 17 months after reaching its all-time high of 14,164. That happened on October 9th, 2007. The Dow Jones bottoms out at 6,547. The Great Recession. June 12th, analog TV broadcast ends and all goes to digital. Did you buy those little converter boxes for your TVs? Before we had the flat theater style TVs, remember? And you had to go buy, I have 4 or 5 of them because I have TVs everywhere, in a box down in my storage room. I don't know how I'll ever get rid of them. But you had to have that to be able to pick up the TV signal. Unless you went out and bought a new digital TV, which I used to be of old school that your TV lasted forever. You buy one and you keep it forever. My first digital TV I bought, though, is still my main TV, even though we have bigger ones scattered around the house. And it is probably if that was 2009, it's probably 15 years old. I don't know. I'm sure I went out and bought one not long after all this. Notable death to end the decade of the 2000s. June 25th, at 50 years old, Michael Jackson. This has been kind of a fun ride. I have not regretted recording this at all. It takes a lot of work to put one of these together, but I could never do it without the internet, and so I worked all day yesterday putting this sucker together, deciding which ones were newsworthy for this podcast. There are a lot of plane crashes, a lot of sad stuff that happened in the world. I pretty much focus on the United States, but if it caught my eye on a world stage, I had to use all different kinds of websites. Then I'd put that in there. I don't know what the decade of the 2010s will look like. I'll probably do that next year. And then I'll have to wait a few years to do the decade of the 2020s. That's where we are right now, 2025. I remember when I was a kid, people talk about living to the year 2000, and I couldn't even imagine it. Now I look back at the 20th century and think that some of that stuff is ancient history, but that's okay. That's where I get a lot of my stories. Back in the 20th century, it was a good time to be alive, but there's no time like the present. Take a deep breath and open your eyes and appreciate all that's around you. And always remember to be kind. I'll be back next Wednesday with bells on. Let's have a good year out there. Peace out.